actually the minister of AI, but that's not the case here, right? Diella has been given a human form and in appearance, and we are all talking about this person now who's the minister. My prediction here is that within the next couple of years, you will see many countries having AI ministers in their portfolio.
In this day and age where everybody's talking about artificial intelligence, what's the future? Are there going to be governance mechanisms when it comes to artificial intelligence? Will AI be used to govern? In all this, we are seeing history in the making, a historic step by one country that has appointed an AI minister to ensure that there is no corruption. And this AI minister is going to look at the public procurement system of the country, that's Albania. To discuss this and more, I'm being joined by Dikshu Kukreja, who is Honorary Consul General of Albania to India. Mr. Kukreja, thank you so much for joining us here. Very interesting. Diella, the AI minister. Tell us more about what this is and what this means for Albania.
Well, pleasure to be speaking with you, Geeta. And yes, this is certainly a breakthrough in terms of, I would say, political management, in terms of administration. And for that matter, it's such a reformist idea whose time, I believe, has come. At the outset, I wish to clarify, because many people are confusing this breakthrough gesture which has been made by the Honorable Prime Minister of Albania, Prime Minister Edi Rama. People are confusing that is Diella a lady who is actually the minister of AI, but that's not the case here, right?
No, that's not the
Diella
case.
is actually an AI minister who is been entrusted with this responsibility. So really, it is a leap of faith towards technology. And it goes to show that how the country, Albania, is really progressive in its thinking and actions.
Well, again, a very important message over here when it comes to why they have appointed an AI minister for public procurement. Now, Mr. Kukreja, you know, she could have been a minister of anything, including technology. But here we are looking very specifically in the realm and area of public procurement. What was the thought behind it? Who thought of coming up with an AI minister?
So if you were to really read or know more about Prime Minister Edi Rama, you will find that he comes up time and again with incredible initiatives which are really, breakthrough in many ways, radical but transformative at the same time. The Prime Minister's own journey from being the mayor of Tirana, the capital of Albania, for a good 3 terms, where he completely transformed the city in various ways, including its physical environment. And Tirana, for many who used to visit, used to still see in its physical environment the history of communism. It had the, I would say, iron curtains of communism in Albania for almost half a century. And the architecture of the city also reflected that. So you saw these dull concrete buildings which were dotting the city, and they lacked the vibrancy that you would typically imagine of a European city. And Prime Minister Rama, at that point as a mayor of the city, completely transformed it. It was literally like handing over a paintbrush at a large scale. So the facades were transformed into a city with lots of color, graphics, murals, etc. And it was a radical change at that point. Similarly, now, when the country is, the world is changing, Albania itself is changing, and Albania is at the throes of becoming a part of the European Union and seeks to do so, has come this big transformation, and it is the brainchild of none other than the Prime Minister himself.
Right. It does seem like the urbanist and the architect in you has come out with you telling us exactly what he's done in changing the landscape, the cityscape in his own country. But tell us more about Diella, who the word means sun in Albanian. And it was first introduced in 2025 as a virtual assistant. And then later on, this entire e-Albanian platform has transformed into one where procurement would be made easy for government, for the government sector, and ensure that there is no corruption and that there is transparency.
Absolutely. So yes, the urbanist in me gave you that little history of the city of Tirana, but let me tell you, the painter in Prime Minister Rama, he's an accomplished artist. So maybe that's where his inspiration to change the city's look came from. But about Diella, yes, it is. It's really, if you were to see, Diella has been given a human form and in appearance, and we are all talking about this person now who's the minister. But really, in a sense, what are we seeking? Albania, as I said, is committed towards being a nation which is seen as not only a healthy democracy, but one which is fair, transparent, and equitable. And for that purpose, it becomes extremely important that any practices that are there in the country which are of public in nature and are seeking any kind of contracts and project procurements, it's very important that it is held in a healthy, transmittable, and equitable manner. And that's where this approach was taken of moving towards technology, because like you rightly mentioned, Diella's earlier role was more as a virtual assistant. So in that sense, if you were to see very objectively, technology has already been tested in the form of Diella playing that previous role, and now it's being uplifted and upgraded to another far more important role, which surprisingly, I would say, nobody else has tried so far. But probably this also goes to show that where the world is headed. And in just one sentence, I would say that it's so important that being equitable and being fair and transparent is important for any government to display. And that's what Diella is going to be doing.
Okay, we will talk about its global implication. But before that, it's an AI minister after all. It's a machine. And it's in its early stages, Mr. Kukreja. So which means that it would require, or the system of procurement, which is a very complicated system in any government, in any form of governance, would require human intervention. Over here also, let's be realistic. While the government is wanting to achieve greater feats when it comes to technology, there is going to be human intervention as well.
Right. But I would argue here, Geeta, that is procurement really that complicated?
It is, if there are complaints coming in. It is.
Yes,
if there are complaints coming in, if there's somebody who's challenging the decision, then you will require human intervention.
True, but challenges usually come, if you see anywhere in the world when it comes to procurement, is where people fear or are apprehensive that there has been subjectivity. So when you are looking at procurement, and particularly when a government is looking at procurement, and it, through its parliament, through its policies, sets up a system of what are the parameters for that procurement. So I would argue that then becomes literally a scientific formula that then is extremely important to be adhered to. Where the criticism or confusion comes in is where subjectivity comes into the picture, and therefore you are able to distort or manipulate the procurement process. In this case, that's precisely the reason Diella is there today, that once the government has decided what parameters a particular product or particular service will be procured on, and that basis is established in a fair manner, then it becomes extremely important that it's carried out completely objectively. And that is what is anticipated here, that Diella will be able to do that without any kind of prejudices or preferences.
Of all the criteria required to be a part of the European Union, Mr. Kukreja, it seems like being corruption-free is the most important criterion. Is this in a way pitching to the European Union that the one system where you find corruption, where there's lack of transparency, is where Albania has really looked into and taken care of that one part to look and see and be corruption free?
You're absolutely right there. I think that is a part of the intention here as well, that, if you are going into a larger global order, which requires, or even if it's, you wouldn't call it a requirement, but if it is something which is looked upon favorably, that, you are part of, you're running a country which is completely fair and corruption free, then certainly this leaves no doubt that you are resorting to technology which is going to eliminate completely any kind of chances of misuse or any kind of malpractices that perhaps could take place by adopting technology in such an advanced manner.
All right. And finally, before I let you go, the global impact. Are there learnings? Are there countries that you think would look to and look at Albania to have or create their own AI ministers?
I would say, I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I couldn't hear the first part clearly.
I said, will this be a turning point where other countries would look to emulate and have their own AI ministers? How will they emulate or seek to take help from Albania in this matter?
I am really convinced on this, that this kind of a breakthrough that has taken place is going to be something that we are going to hear and see more than you and I can imagine today. Because like I said, the whole concept of procurement to me is something which should be beyond a point rather objective, which leads to fairness. And that is something every country seeks to demonstrate. And somewhere or the other, a lot of countries around the world, dare I say most, have practices that creep in where things don't appear as fair and transparent as they should. So I would imagine that this kind of a system, radical intervention that has been introduced by Albania is something we are going to see very rapidly happening across the globe. So my prediction here is that within the next couple of years, you will see many countries having AI ministers in their portfolio.
Well, never imagine that we will have artificial intelligence as ministers taking care of important portfolios. But here we have Albania beginning. It's a start, and let's see where other countries take it from here on. Mr. Dikshu Kukreja, thank you so much for joining us here on the network. Thank you.
Thank you.